You know where you are!
This is Appetite for Distortion.
Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 437. My name is Brando. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Wesley Geer. How are you,
What's up,
sir?
Brando? I'm good. And for the listeners at home that maybe haven't figured this out, you cannot spell Brando without rad. So it's important information we need to disclose here on the podcast, and now we've disclosed
That's, you got me joking already. That's really funny.
it.
It's almost like an inside joke here because I've interviewed, because where are you located right now, if you don't mind me
I'm
asking?
in Laguna Beach.
Okay, so it comes from a lot of LA based. I got a lot of, do you know Brian Mantilla? He was in Primus, Guns
Familiar.
N' Roses.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
So it's not just him overused, or I guess not used to somebody using the word rad that often that isn't a Ninja Turtle. So I've joked about that word throughout all these episodes, and the fact that I never just thought of that simple. You can't spell Brando without rad. Well done.
Yeah, we're West Coasters, so we say rad, and you're on the East Coast, and so there's you got your own slang over there.
Yeah, we just say F you. We're just angry.
It's funny. I was gonna say that, but if I said it, you say, "Hey, fuck you." But if I had
Exactly.
said that as the West Coaster, then it'd be like, "Hey, what a dick! He's slagging us," But you said it now. You opened the door. But just so you know, one of my best friends is named Brando, and then
Okay.
one of my other best buddies who I work with also. I can't remember how we got there, but we call him Branjo, and it's not because he plays the banjo, but some instrument. Anyhow, so I have a Branjo, and now you're Brando. So, yeah.
Oh, might be one of my favorite starts to an episode ever. Wesley, I mean, we've only spoken via email, and it's like we've just been friends for a while. And I got to imagine you get that all the time, just because you work with so many people. You have to have that kind of personality. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with Wesley, one of the founding members of Hed PE, a band that I played on the radio when I first started out on the aggressive edge on my college radio station. You know,
Sick.
yeah, next to the Metallicas, next to the Dying Fetus, there's a Hed PE.
Oh, dying fetuses. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, not my favorites, but I respect it. And he was in Korn for a while, toured the
Yeah.
world, great band Korn. And now what we're really here going to talk about, you heard me speak about, if you listen to the episode with Big Chris Flores, Rock to Recovery, rocktorecovery.org. And just first of all, I mean, I'm going to be saying thank you a lot throughout this episode.
Thanks.
It's because of the work that you do, but just the initial thank you of helping me promote that episode, because what Big Chris did, and I didn't know he was going to do this when we were planning an interview. It was a second interview. Wasn't planning for him to just like, hey, I finished this Chester, slash demo. Would you like to play it on your podcast? Yeah, yeah, I would.
That's so dope.
And with that, I I was like, okay, but Chester isn't here anymore, and there was a lot of, I don't know. You start going down that thought process of just, at least I do, of what happened with Chester and
Yeah.
just his whole story, and who am I to be given this song to promote and to benefit from it in a way. I'm not selling it, but with streams, with follows,
Yeah.
what do I want to do with this? And
Yeah.
I thought, let's do what Chester would have wanted, would be happy with. Just talk to a charity that believes in something that he believed in, and talking with Big Chris about that. He suggested you guys, and I'm really glad that he did. I've heard of you before, Rock to Recovery.
Thanks.
So just with all that, that's a welcome. That's a welcome to the show, and just thanks for all the hard work you've been doing, and thanks for the support.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, it's really cool about that song that it came out. I know what you mean because um Rock to Recovery started having events, we wanted to create cool sober events, that are as cool as any other event, but just without all the booze. So people who are struggling can come have because when people are trying to quit drinking, they're not like, or drugging, they're not like, hey, let me go to a concert. That's probably the last place they feel safe. So, being a music lover, Rock to Recovery started having these sober events and then honoring, sober rock stars and just tying in a bunch of, really big names. And Chester actually sang at our first one.
Okay.
And, just like Chester, rock stars and celebrities or people with names often do charity events, and a lot of times you don't really know what the charity is. You're like, oh, it's music that helps, you know what I mean, which is okay because it's hard to keep up on all the info and you want to go support. And you anyhow, Chester, he knew exactly what we were doing, and what we do is we get non-musicians playing music as a healing transformative force, but he talked about it from the stage. And then what a better way, to walk into sobriety than with music, and he really got it. And then so when he passed, we were sharing these videos, and some people get mad. Oh, you're using Chester's death to it. It's like, no, no, we're not. And especially now, even since he's passed, the world, if you will, has even got more angry to try to call out people on their missteps. And so it's hard. You're always going to make somebody mad. But what we know about Chester is he had a big giant heart. He was a very, very, very loving person. And I think if the intention is good, then he would always be behind it. And it's like what, y'all did with the song, putting it out there with the message behind it. Thank you for aligning with us. Yeah, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely agreed. And it's just, yeah, it is a divisive world. You can put up now. I guess I have the most recent personal situation where I put up a video where I told you off the air that my son Baby Brownstone might be making. I call him Baby Brownstone, but his real name is Harrison. Maybe showing up soon. He's out with his mom.
Yeah.
But I sometimes I incorporate him in episodes, and I'll just, if he's gonna cry, I'll hand him off to my wife, or it's pre-recorded. It never got that bad where I needed to stop anything. I just hand him off, and usually it's like a nice little interaction. So he was playing peekaboo with Paul Rogers and his wife. So I just posted that clip, being like, "This is gonna be
So
amazing to show him later in life."
yeah,
And someone said, "You're using your kid for clicks." I'm
yeah,
like, "What? What
yeah,
clicks?"
yeah,
I think it's just another phrase that just lost all meaning. What clicks? Yeah, you have to click on to watch it, but what am I really getting?
yeah.
So kind of with that, it's funny. What I really wanted to do with that interview with Big Chris Flores and the full song that's in there was, and I told you this, I wanted to give the proceeds to you, and I still, and
Rock to Recovery, just to be clear, not to me personally.
oh, right. You're right. I should be clear about that. Rocktorecovery.org. So
Yeah, we went to Mastro's. God, I had a great steak, man. Aged beef. No, I'm just
what's your Venmo?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, so actually that's a funny segue into everything. So just talking about what a click's really meaning. What am I really getting by posting it? So I posted, this is just the YouTube stats, like over 32,000 views. I
Sick.
actually thought it would have done better, but a lot of people I saw were just clipping out the song and just posting it on their own sites. So
Mhm.
I would have to leave comments like, "You're just stealing for charity, from charity."
Yeah.
So I had to share some copyright residuals because that song eventually became Dr. Alibi with Lemmy and Slash. So I guess that
Ah.
the chord progression or something is owned, but whatever. So do you want
Oh,
to take a
I didn't
guess?
know that part. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was there. Sometimes I mean, I will fight YouTube copyright because it's all my stuff. Uh,
Right.
but I just want to see what as a musician, what do you think 32,000 views on YouTube got me as far as an estimated value?
Oh, well, let me see. Estimated value. So you have to go into the decimal point oh oh. I think you end on the third decimal. So 32,000. I would say $32, $48.
$11.88.
Oh man. We're
So
living large over here.
here's what I'm gonna do instead, since that was not what I wanted. So this
Yeah.
is the right way to do it. I'm going to rocktorecovery.org. I'm clicking on gold, which is $100. It's a little donate thing. This little pop-up's not working, so I'm going with $100. Continue.
Wow.
Got to put in my name. I thought I entered this all in before.
You thought I preloaded it.
Well, I guess put it this way. I'm gonna do it. I don't know why it's not upload. It's not getting my information, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna donate $100 to rocktherecovery.org.
And thank you so much.
No problem, because
Really.
it is a place that not only Chester believes in, that I believe in. I've had my own path to recovery. I've been, I guess, I'm in my 8th year without alcohol,
Nice.
and it was so weird. I never considered myself an alcoholic because I always was more of a. I still am to a degree, because I mean now I could say it's legal, but a bit of a stoner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, I mean, different, of course, now with a kid, but I never thought alcohol was my drug of choice. But there I was, purposely drinking myself to sleep alone, like 5 o'clock in the evening, not going out, going through bottles and bottles and bottles, you
Yeah.
know, it's just to supplement, whatever. So that was a really dangerous path that, thankfully, I mean, all these 8 years ago, I didn't have a wife, I didn't have a kid. Look where I am now. So that's
Yeah.
my path. Can you talk about your path a little bit? Your path too. I know it's. I'm sure it's a long story, but whatever you can about your path to
Yeah,
recovery.
I try to keep it short. I guess I was a like insecure kid, lots of kids are, and then so for me it was like hanging with the stoners, and it was an easy way to connect with people. So I thought, even though I really wasn't connecting because I was super stoned, but and, you go to the parties, and then but right, if I look at my drinking and using right out of the gate, I was always kind of like the guy that they're like, Wes, you're too drunk. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're drinking too. And then it went on and on from there. I was, snorting coke at a young age, even though I didn't like it per se, but my friend had it, so I would do it. And I thought I was doing normal partying, and but I always seemed to kind of have a gear above everybody else, not in a bragging way, but in a like being singled out way. And then had a, had a bunch of times living in my car at a young age, kicked out, like flunked out of college, fired from McDonald's, fired from Domino's. And but anyhow, I was always trying to do the band thing. And then was a heavy drinker, and then I discovered methamphetamine, and it became my muse. I had all these crappy bands that went nowhere, and when I formed Hed PE with the singer Jared, we'd tweak out, and it was working for us because all of a sudden we're selling out clubs and Jive Records. We're flying out to New York City, and I'm on drugs. I don't have a problem, but that is obviously not sustainable. I crashed and burned, ended up in a rehab, and found out that I'm just an alcoholic, actually. That, anytime I start getting high on something, I lose all control. And so that's what I had to learn, that I was never going to be able to use again, which is fine. And I just, like they say, I do it one day at a time. And just like you're saying, man, I couldn't imagine life without drinking and using, but I got the Korn gig because I was sober. I founded my nonprofit, Rock to Recovery, because I was sober. And actually, now the work I do with Rock to Recovery, I was only in Korn not that long a time, right? But parlaying that into rock recovery and helping people has. I was just at a premiere with we're standing right next to Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, and I'm not trying to name drop here, but I was in a gratitude moment, going, the reason I'm here is because they did a film on the Air Force and what they went through in World War II. And they love the work Rock to Recovery is doing with the Air Force. I'm getting chills right now. And that's what got me to hang out. It wasn't about the names, but that's what got me the access, because we together are trying to help people, man. It's like that's all because I
Yeah.
got getting drunk and all that shit.
Yeah, no, that it's it gives. I appreciate those name drops because I know they're not, but I think it shows on just a more abstract level of where you could be and struggling, and just the
Yeah.
highs, like the ultimate A list, and not just because you're partying with them. You're there for a reason, a good reason, to help other people, and it's using your experiences to give back, which not everybody does, and it's what I try to do as well. When I started this podcast, it wasn't just about, well, my listeners know that I thought it was a silly idea when my former co-host, current friend, still like suggested it. I'm like, oh, what am I going to talk about? How much, I love November Rain and like the album, like just to be a music nerd about it. But for me, it always kind of transcended into who they are as people and their road to recovery. All of them, especially when you look at Izzy Stradlin, who gave it all up, or he's going to die of addiction, and Steven Adler. I mean that
Yeah.
could be dead easily. Slash, who I mean, all of them. Slash Duff, all on the brink of death. Axel is had tremendous depression issues, so that's what gravitates me. So mental health has always been, and recovery and addiction has always kind of been that secondary theme of the podcast. And get to talk to people like you about it is it's that's how it's my you're my Tom Hanks in this situation. Just like we're both here to try to help other people. So could you
Yeah.
talk about like what kind of programs you do specifically, Rock to Recovery does specifically to help somebody? It's say, hey, I need help. How can you guys help?
So yeah, that thanks for asking. A lot of people don't know. So I went to a rehab, just lost and broken. I didn't know what was wrong with me, and that's where I learned about, what was, I'm alcoholic and how to combat that. And we were doing things like art therapy, drawing with crayons and yoga, and all the guys are farting, and I'm like, hey, let's be serious. I want to learn this downward dog stuff. I mean, this is 2004, and there wasn't music. There wasn't music in treatment, in these treatment centers that I would see, because now I'm part of this sober culture, right? And but I had my guitar with me in rehab, and then when I would whip it out, I could feel the energy of the whole room change just from a few chords. Because when people were so raw and so hurting, and you're like, everybody in there's like, I've destroyed my life. What's wrong? My wife hates me. I got court cases. And then you bring a couple simple chords out, I could feel it. And so the endeavor of Rock to Recovery was to bring music into treatment centers. And so what we do is we get people to process their emotions, whatever they're going through in that moment or in their life or in that treatment center, and show them how feelings become lyrics. And then we turn it into a song, and we get non-musicians to write, perform, and record songs in each session. So that's what we do. And we do it with mental health treatment centers, eating disorders, sex traffic places. We work with Friendly House in LA. It's the oldest
Wow.
rehab in LA that takes indigent women off the streets and rehabilitates them. We're in our 9th year of contract with the Department of Defense, working with Air Force wounded warriors. I mean, dude, this started as just an idea of me taking some instruments into rehab by myself. And now we have this amazing board of directors. And yeah, I played in Korn for a few years, and it absolutely helped, but none of this was handed to us. We've been grinding like a garage band, and it's been
Huh.
so wonderful to see. Like sometimes nonprofits start and it's like, okay, I'm, whatever, giant actor. I start a nonprofit, everybody throws in millions of dollars, and it's like, yeah,
Mm.
we're on TV now. Ours has been like garage band in the van, grinding out. And the thing that's working is when you hear this girl who shared at our Rock to Recovery event, she was 19, suicidal, drug addicted, and she said, when I was in that black place, dark place, lost, music reached back for me and pulled me out and helped save my life via Rock to Recovery. It's like, what? So we're one facet of the many tools that help battle addiction and mental health. There's no one thing. It's
Right.
like a combo, a Swiss Army knife approach. And so one person, maybe it's dance or it's yoga or it's trauma therapy. We're part of something that helps people find light.
You're absolutely right, and that's what I tell people now, whether it's through the podcast or in my own life, that you need to find some place, something where you can express yourself and you can connect with other people that you're passionate about. And I wish I had the talent to be a musician. That's why I went into radio. I just I play the talented people. I can't be that kind of talented. So what I did a suggestion through my therapist where I'm just like, I don't, I'm just work. While yes, I work in radio, I wasn't creatively satisfied.
Yeah.
So she kept saying, you got to find some sort of, for lack of a better word, hobby, but something you're passionate about. And that's when this idea for the podcast came about. And I had no idea I'd be doing this basically 8 years later, 7 years later, getting a chance to interview all my favorite rock stars and people. So this is helped me with that. So this is kind of like you mentioned, yoga or dance. Like my wife's a dance teacher, so that's what she does as well. So just to find your your venue, your medium is so important, whatever that is. And forgive me, but you'll understand why while I was looking off camera, I finally got my thing to work.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So now I got my email. Thank you for your $100 contribution. So I just want to let you know.
yeah, nice.
I want to be a man of my
But
word.
you clicked the monthly button, right?
Hey, I got a kid. I got a kid.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
If I had the means, that's something I would love to do because I'm just not a money driven person. It's been difficult for me to even mention my Patreon now, trying to go into 2024 different. But when you see
Shameless
how
self promotion. You got to do it, man.
I
Thank you
do
for
it,
your generosity.
that's yeah. I'm thinking about how I do people. Do get messages just like you do. How you've helped me. I also think about put, just buying my kid diapers. I got to do something more than what YouTube is giving me.
Yeah, $11 ain't gonna go too far, especially not in New York.
No, no, no. A couple just shotgun questions, if I may. Well, how did the decision to leave Head PE? Like, how difficult was that for
Ugh.
you?
Yeah, a band is always the beautiful magic of all the people in the band. No denying that. But Jared and I were the pilot and co-pilot of that project from its launch. And we're writing partners, and we had some drama over a girl that could not be repaired. I made mistakes, he made mistakes. It's easy probably for people to listen to make assumptions of what it was like, but it wasn't as obvious as you think. But it was ugly and irreparable. And so, we were fueled in our early days by tons of drugs and drinking, and I'm not using that as an excuse, but it definitely doesn't make it easier to heal, repair, speak, meet, and so but speaking for myself, I'll just speak for myself. I was a young, dumb kid just living crazy. And we hired like the rock star therapist to try to mend the band. And so it was hell. The last record we did, Blackout, he and I weren't even talking. I mean, just truth be told, we've sent a couple nice messages here in the 20 years since I've left, but we don't speak directly, which I'm super cool to do, for the record. But yeah, I hung out for probably a year, like in a very, when you're in a tour bus with a guy who doesn't want to talk to you, it was not a fun existence. So I hung in as long as I could until finally it was like, I can't do this anymore, and but in hindsight, it was crushing because Head was, I was big, I was producing those records, writing the vast majority of the music, and so it was a very big part of my life. And it was heartbreaking to lose it or leave it. But in hindsight, it's like, because I did that, my addiction got worse, and then I went and got help, and then I got sober, and because of that, I got the Korn gig. And because so you look, it's like they say in the rear view mirror, it will all make sense. And for almost anybody, when you look back at the sucky things in your life, you're like, yeah, it sucked, but I wouldn't change it because this is what happened after that. He's off doing his thing. God bless him. Head's doing great, and I'm doing great. So we're right where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, well, no, well said, and I appreciate you sharing that. And to speak about that corn gig that you wouldn't have gotten if you weren't in the right space in your life. Can you tell me how? Because I read that you were friends with Monkey. You've been friends with him for a while. Because I've been lucky enough to have had Head on the show. I met him and his daughter actually in the studio before COVID happened. They were talking about their own path to recovery, and that's who you replaced on tour. So can you just tell us? I'm sure you shared this story a million times, but if you if you don't mind sharing the Corn joining the band story.
There's a fun long version of the story, but obviously I'll keep it succinct. But the funny thing is this is something I forget to share. But I had a Corn were like, we knew them. We were all playing Huntington Beach together. Corn, Deftones, all of us were local club bands together. So we knew him from way back. I wasn't super tight with him, but we had like you were loving your fellow whatever rock band of the neighborhood. I don't know how to say it in a cool way, but I had a dream Head left, which was weird because we viewed them as like this incredible brotherhood. And a couple days later, they're like, "Did you?" My friends called me. Head left. the gig's perfect for you. You should go get in on that. Well, I got denied because my reputation as a drunken, druggy idiot. And so years and years went by, and they were going through guitar players that weren't working out for a variety of reasons. And then finally, my name came up again. They're like, no, he's sober now. So Monkey reached out. Now trip out on this. I'm now sober a few years. I've reserved that I can't do music anymore. I'm, old enough where I'm not going to start some fucking van band, garage band. I'm over it. It's not part of recovery, but it felt so wrong in my soul. Like I just felt like I wasn't done playing. And so I started getting really into meditation, and I do these meditations for manifestation from Wayne Dyer. I know it sounds crazy. And I'm like, I started going, I want to get back into music. And you're like, and you visualize it. Within 10 days of starting that meditation, out of nowhere, going, I want back into music, and it better not be some shitty band. Swear to God. I got a text from Monkey going, hey, you want to come play guitar with us? And I was like, yes, I do. It took about 6 months to land the gig. That's the fun long version of that story, because it wasn't like okay, you're in. I had to chase the gig and do all this crazy stuff that, frankly, if I was even a stoner or a casual drinker, I probably wouldn't have done. I had to go next level to really get myself into the band, but that's what happened.
Wow. How is because I don't get to talk about him enough, and he's on my bucket list to interview, but how is Jonathan Davis personally?
Jonathan is a sweetheart of a human, he's just a sweetheart of a guy. And what I think of when I think of, because knowing Chester and losing Chester, and what, we played with Papa Roach. I've watched so many bands that we played clubs with get really big and famous. And I just I just think of what it's like, because I know him from way back in Huntington Beach and, mid 90s, that like the journey this guy's been on forever of being a legendary frontman of one of the most legendary rock bands ever. And just it makes my it just it's a beautiful life, it's a wonderful life, but it's a fucking hard life, man. And you got people dying and addiction all around you, and the chaos and the shady people, and and so when I just think of him, I just think of this incredibly talented guy, such a sweetheart, and what he's endured to stay at that level for so long.
And to go along with those people who have been fighting for so long and have had those demons, you told me a story a little bit just off the air. I don't know the full one yet, but a name that we've mentioned all the time who really has become a role model is Duff McKagan, that
Oh man,
he was so close to dying.
yeah,
Matt Sorum was on the podcast saying that he thought Duff was going to die. And Matt Sorum was a
yeah,
pirate, quote. That's what he called himself back then, a pirate. So for him
yeah.
to think, and then look where Duff is now. I know you have an experience with Duff when he was during the Loaded days, right?
Yeah, so when I was out with Korn, I think we were playing a festival in Belgium. And it's funny, I used drinking to try to connect with people because I was so friggin' insecure. It's like, well, let's get drunk. And then what had happened is I'd turn into an obnoxious asshole. I'd meet Les Claypool and I'd be like, what's up, dude? And he'd be like, bro, just, you get that get out of here energy. So the reason I'm saying that is because all my best connections came from meeting people sober. So we're in Belgium. I think actually met Duff first at the NAMM show, which is a big music manufacturer convention. And he's like, come on, let's go to the whatever Seymour Duncan party, which, by the way, it's not that exciting. It's some tacos and some people standing around, but probably sounds cool. But so then I ran into him. He was out on tour with his band Loaded, and we were playing the same festival. And then it was him and Mike Squires, his guitar player, who I've known for a while. And he's
Yeah,
like,
he does the theme song with his podcast, actually.
oh,
Uh,
boom, there you
yeah,
go.
I
Mike's,
love.
Mike's another sweetheart of a human. Love him. And Duff was like, let's go jogging, and I'm like, and Duff's like the coolest, most down to earth sweetheart. Like when you talk to Duff, you could be in a crowded room, and my friends and I have compared notes on this, with all these people, Duff, Duff, talking and distractions. And anybody could be ADD and you're kind of like trying to stay focused. He'll be like right here with you. It's you and Duff, and he's gonna be, just in that convo 100%. And he was like, let's go for a jog. I'm like, hell yeah. I'm not hungover. I'm into this healthy living thing. And we're running through the back streets of Belgium. And so when you play a festival, you're not in the middle of town. You're out in the boonies because you need a
Right.
lot of area. and we're running in this rainstorm in Belgium. It's raining and there's cows, and I'm like fucking jogging with goddamn Duff McKagan through a fucking cow fields in Belgium before we play a festival with tour. I'm like, this sober life ain't so bad.
Oh, that's beautiful. Those are the stories I love hearing because yeah, those are just it's just another moment like you mentioned with Tom Hanks before and Steven
Yeah.
Spielberg. It's just like wow, I'm having this real
Gratitude.
human moment in connection because of just a yeah, we look back like I really wish I didn't go through that, but you had to go through that to get to this wonderful place in life now. And I'd be remiss by if I didn't mention that because Duff and Mike Squires and Shooter Jennings, I believe, and a
Yeah,
couple more. I don't know the rest of his band, but Duff was on Jimmy Kimmel, and
saw that.
he did a great job. That was a really great performance by Duff. I just want to mention that and seeing Mike up there was very just to say, like I mentioned before, he does the guitar intro to this
Yeah,
podcast. I'm like,
yeah.
really? Wow, that's such a cool thing for to happen. But before we, kind of wrap things up, let's talk about your cool ass shirt. I think it's
Let's
more.
talk about it. Is it backwards on there?
It says human, but with the three.
Okay, yeah, HU3, which that's how you find us. HU3. It's actually not that hard. HU3 M3N. This is my new band. I didn't want they have a saying, don't die with the songs in you. I actually in my realm of working through rehabs, I met this guy who was like, I sing. I'm like, whatever. And then I heard his voice, like, holy shit, his name's Matt Bartosh. We grabbed Clinton, who's the bass player, our guitar player in DI, the legendary punk band, and Zach Morris. He played with Ugly Kid Joe, and actually had a brief stint with Hed PE and Dorothy. We put together a band. It's electronic, indie, hard, alt rock kind of stuff. And we just recorded an EP with Machine, who did the best Head records. He did the Broke album, my favorite one, and he's done Lamb of God, the legendary Lamb of God records, and Clutch, and all these great bands. And so we have an EP out right now called Strange Bouquet, and we're on our third song from that. Let's see here. Can I go on a real quick? I should have had
I
this.
like the I like the name of that. I like the name of that strange bouquet.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
oh, I
that
like the artwork too.
isn't that cool? Kind of weird, sexy. I mean, she's got a weird neck, so is she human? Maybe. I don't know. She's a robot. A little bit of like spray paint over here.
Whatever your kink is.
That, yeah, and there's, hey, look, there we
Show
are
'em.
right there. Oh, wow, that's very exciting. So you can find us right here on Spotify, and the songs don't suck. They do not suck. I will
Well, we'll see if we can.
Hey,
There he is. There's Baby
hey, there
Brownstone.
we are.
There's Harrison. Well,
Harris.
his first. Well, he'll have to wait to go to maybe a human show. His first real rock show. Sorry, I look at my wife because he already went to Dave Matthews when he was like 4 months.
Oh,
But he's
yeah.
gonna be Foo Fighters next summer. We're gonna go to Foo
Oh,
Fighters.
nice. Very nice.
So
That's good. Booze. He's got a cool haircut, beautiful eyes. Great
thank
name,
you.
Harrison. Yeah.
Harrison Rex. That's the Harrison Rex. So everything is dinosaur. And yes, he has the natural Misfits mohawk.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? He was born with a mohawk. He's born to be a rocker.
We just got to get him some Doyle muscles.
That's true. I should have put on well one of these times I got him a Misfits one hoodie, a little
There
Misfits
you
hoodie.
go. You know who you could have on here would be AC Slade. He rocks with the Misfits. He's great with from Joan Jett. He'd be a
Oh,
good.
okay. I'm down. I'm down with it.
Plays
Uh
guitar on tour with Misfits.
right on. Yeah, I saw the Misfits a while ago. Very expensive, but good.
Yeah, I snuck my phone into the forum when they played. They were doing that put your phone in the bag thing. And I was like, no, that doesn't sound good to me. And I snuck it in and then I videoed like 30 seconds because it's my buddy playing on stage with the Misfits at the forum. And then all these punks were like, hey, asshole, you're not supposed to have your phone. And I'm like, but isn't it punk rock that I have my phone? Oh,
I
and I'm
know.
sorry, Harrison, I said the A word. Luckily, I think he doesn't
He
get it
can't
anymore.
hear you. It's all in my headphones.
Oh, that's right.
He's trying to grab my headphones. He can't hear them. And no,
Yeah.
I did the same thing when I saw Danzig by himself. It was
Yeah.
the phone in the case. Whatever. I like being transparent. That's why you could see me on Zoom. I know you can hear this podcast on iHeartRadio and Spreaker and Spotify too as well, but You can see me. It's okay. I'm not gonna make you. I'm not gonna hide him. I'm not gonna hide the baby. I'm not gonna put up like a blanket. Like wait, Michael Jackson. Let's do my Michael Jackson. Frankie, Frankie.
At least you don't have any, windows that are parts up.
No,
That was
all right. Now we're going off at a tangent. Wes, thank you so much. This really was a pleasure. Thank you so much for all the
pleasure.
work that you do. And I really hope we get to do this again.
Yeah, I hope so, Brando. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your support and lots of love, brother. And you too, Harrison. This is to you, bud. Yeah.
So
Whoa,
that's
how
it.
did those hearts come out? Did you do that?
No, I didn't. Whoa,
Is that
Zoom
a
does
Zoom
that.
feature?
Oh, my hands are messed up because
Whoa. I'm not even kidding. I've never seen that
I've
before.
never seen it either. All right, learn something new every day. Look at you, Wes. I love
I'm
that.
magical. I'm
That's
so
what a
magical.
way to end an episode. So that
Yeah,
does it
I'll do that
for,
again. Let's do it again.
for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. When will we see the next one? Well, in the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, I don't know if soon is the word, but you'll see it.